Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and we've got some breaking news for you involving Manchester United player Mason Greenwood. I think for the last year there's been a lot of sensitivity around this Manchester United player and the reporting of it, quite rightly, from United fans and outlets, and everybody has been pretty basic because he's been part of a police investigation for very serious offences. Obviously, people have, some of this was leaked online, what allegedly happened. The breaking news is that this case has been dropped by Greater Manchester Police today. What does that mean? What does that mean for football? What does that mean for a wider society? What does it mean in the law? We'll get into all that. All I would say is please, in the chat, try and show some sensitivity. People will have very different opinions about this. It's not necessarily about what you want. It's what the law dictates, and it's about what Manchester United ultimately decide to do. And there's going to be some difficult decision making to be done by Manchester United, the player and everything else. But what I have to say at the very start, and it would be irresponsible if I didn't, is that in this country, the United Kingdom, we are underpinned by the law of the land. And the law of the land is that you are innocent until you are proven guilty. And the Crown Prosecution Service and the police in this case who have investigated it and charged him, and he was meant to be going to court in November. So last year, when he was charged, they felt that they had the evidence to take this to court and find him guilty. Here we are at the start of February and the case has collapsed, dropped, whatever you want to call it. But the statement is this from Greater Manchester Police: criminal proceedings against the 21-year-old man in connection with the investigation opened in January 2022 have today been discontinued by the Crown Prosecution Service. This case is dropped as far as we're aware. We were just about to do a preview, and this all came out. So, I mean, we're reacting to it as it goes around at the moment. I mean, there may well be updates coming in. Sun Sport are saying that Mason Greenwood today had all charges dropped against him. And as I say, the updates from Greater Manchester Police is there that it has been discontinued. So as we understand it, and look, as I would understand this from, years working, many years ago, but working in investigation, is that allegation is made, evidence is gathered, suspect is interviewed, Crown Prosecution is presented with the case. Crown Prosecution says you either go ahead or you don't. On this case, they said, let's go ahead, let's charge him. And then 2 months later, they say, no, let's drop it. So I don't know what's happened. Sully says he's happy he's back. I'd be very careful, Sully. I mean, as I said, just show some sensitivity here, because there's going to be a lot of people that don't want him to play for the club again. Whether you agree with that or not, there will be. The allegations were very serious. It involved domestic violence, etc. There's going to be some people who are very, very sensitive and not happy about this. There are going to be some people like Sully who are over the moon that we're getting potentially a player back. Tread carefully, show some respect. It's your opportunity as human beings to actually show that you are good people here, because there is a fine line to tread. It has to be underpinned by innocent until proven guilty, and ultimately the police, the Crown Prosecution Service, have put a statement out that they do not and are not taking this to court. Therefore, the case is dropped. Therefore, Mason Greenwood is innocent. That's where we're at. Now, whether he's innocent in your eyes in relation to what you've heard and what you've seen, that's up to you. But in the law, he is innocent, and that opens up huge possibilities, dilemmas, interesting conversations for Manchester United and what they do next. Bringing it back to football, Joshua says, I'm massively conflicted morally, big believer in second chances, but without further information, memory of that tape still makes my skin crawl. Edward, thank you very much for the super chat. Mark, what's your thoughts on this? As Mikhail Roach. I mean, I know somebody's going to ask me for my thoughts, and I really, will always give my opinion, but I don't feel I can give my opinion on this. I think it would be irresponsible to do it, because I am a little bit like Joshua. I'm morally conflicted. I will give you my opinion in a couple of minutes, actually, but let me just say, as things stand now, we have laws, right? We have contracts and we have laws, and that's where we are at the moment. We're dealing with the law and we're dealing with the contract the player has with Manchester United. What next? So, unless, well, all cases, all the charges are dropped. There's no ongoing investigation, so they're dropped. Mason Greenwood is not going to court. He's not going to go to prison. He's not going to get found not guilty. He's not going to get found guilty. He's not going to court. So there is no case to answer. He is free, innocent in relation to that. Okay. So what next? So what next is, has he breached his contract with Manchester United? Very unlikely. How long is left on his contract with Manchester United? 2025 with the option of another year. So he's got 2 years left on his contract. Amazingly, he's 21 now. I mean, that's how much time we've lost. He's 21. He'll be 22 in October. He's not played football in 14 months. He has lost 14 months of his career. He was a very talented footballer, I can't remove what's out there. When he was playing for United, I called him a generational talent. So look, I'm not going to lie about his talent. He was very, very talented. What Manchester United do next is a headache, because ultimately he could be back training tomorrow, part of this squad. You know, it'll take a long time to come back. He ain't going to play against Crystal Palace. You know, he's probably not going to play this season. But he could be back in training tomorrow. How do Man United players feel about that? You know, at the time, there was a couple of players who put, you know, pictures of themselves with their own girlfriends, and you know, you could read it that it was a dig. You could read that it. I don't know what the relationships are, what the players think, what the club thinks. But they will have to tread very, very carefully. That you can't sack a player for that when there is no case to answer. So, and the football is about money. Somebody will want him if we don't want him. So you think about that player putting a Man United shirt on again. Forget what United fans think. You think about him going away to other grounds. You think about perception, and I just think, you know what? I've always got an opinion on everything. I think everyone's always got an opinion on everything. But as I think Joshua put it absolutely spot on, you're morally conflicted here, because you know the law, and you know second chances, and you know innocent till proven guilty. But then you know what society's like, and I don't know. I think we all need time to digest this. I mean, some people are like, yes, he's back, get him in the shirt. That's, you know, because some people are just ridiculously, you know, they can just change their mind like that, and that's what they think. That's their opinion. Some people will be like, I won't go to Old Trafford again if he's there, and that's extreme as well. So, you know, there's never a dull day with Manchester United, is there? It's just, it's mind-blowing. I mean, I was literally just about to go live for a Crystal Palace preview with loads of stats about Sabitzer, and we'll do that on the 8 o'clock show now, but this is like football, and then it's big issues as well, isn't it? I don't know what United are going to do. I think people are going to be scratching around to find, you know, that. But let's have a look. Let's have a look at this. Tread carefully, says James. Already chants about Mason at every home game by away fans, and he's not on the pitch. Teammates respect issue too. Just getting club back, says James. I would like to see him play for United again, says Edward. I doubt it will be possible though. There was 100% a cash settlement involved here. No way you got off scratch free. I'm blindsided by the news. Innocent until proved guilty, of course, says I-Class. Well, I mean, that's just pure speculation. I know it might be put in poor taste, but if anyone can Ten Hag of all people could make him twice the player and twice the human being, says Glennie. Innocent or guilty will cause conflict, but Mason the footballer is needed at the club, says David. We know him as a footballer, that's the difference, says David. Hi Mark, hope you have a great day. Can a talented player like this come back if he is innocent, says Dan. Well, you know, my beliefs are, to be honest with you, my beliefs are that if you're innocent, then life goes on. You know, ultimately, it's not our job to be judge, jury, and, you know, lawyers, whatever. You put your trust and faith in society and the legal system. Now, maybe that's very naive, but it's not our job to do that. It's not, you know, our job is to react to the news. I was very And Stephen says, look, Mason's going to be tainted now, whether he likes it or not. You know, I doubt he can play for United, and whether that's fair or not. I'm not doing a poll on this because I think, well, we could do a poll on it, but that just seems very, you know, I like the conversation we're having because it's a grown-up conversation. I think that we have reacted to this. We have reacted to this in the past, and we've had to be very, you know, I think the way that this community and United fans have dealt with it has been very, very mature. And I think we have to do it again. We may have to deal with things now that are, well, here we go. Look, I can talk about this a little bit because I've always suspected this. So a CPS spokesman has apparently said, in this case, a combination of the withdrawal of key witnesses and new material that came to light meant there was no longer a realistic prospect of conviction. In these circumstances, we are under a duty to stop the case. I think it's very obvious, and I always said this, the Crown Prosecution Service, when it comes to these types of cases, they can run an investigation without the victim. You can do it. It's called a victimless prosecution, but it's very, very difficult. And if that statement is true from the CPS spokesman, well, if you've lost a key witness, then I think we all know what that key witness is potentially is, and therefore that person doesn't want to make press charges. It's, you know, I don't want to get into the legal ramifications of it. At the end of the day, there is no case to answer. He is innocent. You know, that's where we're at. It's what we do next. We're not here to comment on, you know, who was involved and why they didn't, or if they did. You know, that's their personal lives. You know, some people have horrible things happen to them and they don't want to go to the police, or they don't want to, you know, go down that route. And what I would say as well is, you know, if you are having a moral dilemma here, maybe age, experience comes into this for some of us, but horrible things happen, and that's life. You know, Batman doesn't exist. Sorry to ruin that. And I'm not just talking about this. I'm talking about in every case. You know, I've known, even at Manchester United, there are some arseholes who are legends of this club. Ultimately, these are not your friends. These are not your family members. In most cases, these are people that you are deciding whether you want them to play for Manchester United and whether you can support them in a Manchester United shirt. And it comes down to that. You know, I've met players that, as when I grew up, I idolised, and you meet them in real life and go, that was disappointing. But I still idolise them as players because as players, they were amazing. So you don't have to like these people. I think the way that football has developed is that footballers have become these brands off the pitch, and you know, it's very, very rare and very difficult to find a Juan Mata, you know, a great guy off the pitch and a great player on the pitch. Some of these footballers, I'm not saying they've done anything illegal, but some of them are just very unpleasant, you know, very arrogant. Some of them are great. Just like when you walk down the street, people are people. I think that this will be a decision that gets made by Manchester United, and we as United fans are going to have to deal with it. What do I think happens next is pure speculation. I personally think that it's a tough one. And I think the most intelligent comment I've seen on a footballing level is this football team is doing really well and they're very close-knit. You're telling me that squad of 20, 30 players, all of them are sat there excited going, yes, let's get Mason back. I don't know. I don't know. And if there's one or two who aren't, or even 4 or 5, or even 10, because they know him, they know the player, they know the person, they've travelled with him, they've played with him. You know, if they're all happy with it, then that makes it a lot easier. If there's any issues there, you don't want a dressing room that's disgruntled or upset. So there's lots for Manchester United to consider. For all we know, they might all be great mates. They might be really happy that he's coming back. He might be really excited to come back. Maybe he doesn't want to come back. You know, nobody's even thought about that. You know, he's not played for a year. Maybe he can't come back at the level he was. Maybe if you lose a year, it's like, you know, I don't know. There's so many. We're not going to get the answers, are we? We're dealing with this, you know, as it's happened. The case is dropped. He won't be going to court anymore. He won't be going to be tried and potentially getting found guilty or not guilty. It's gone. ultimately, he's lost a year of his career as well. Look at it like that. For whatever side of the fence you're looking at it from, Mason Greenwood's lost a year of his career over this. How will the dressing room feel? Seemed at the time they were all very against him. Imagine him walking in tomorrow, says Jake. Such a weird feeling, the talent he has. Crazy, I loved him, but it'd be really tough taking him back. It's probably for the better if we don't, says Lazy. His innocence needs to be acknowledged, which we have, George, and Man United need to stick by him, or else it shows that you can just ruin someone's life regardless of legality, says George. Yeah, it's not that simple though, is it, George, really? I think it's multi-layered, this, and as I said, there'll be people who are very unhappy about this. And as I say, I'm going to speak in a way that I think people will understand. From what the CPS have said, that they've dropped it because of lack of key witnesses. This is a problem that exists. I'm not talking about the Mason Greenwood case here, by the way. I'm talking about there are campaign groups out there that are set up to support people who are unwilling to report people who do things to them because they're locked into, they call it domestic abuse, don't they, and things like that. So not everybody's going to be overjoyed by this. They won't. That's just the way life is. But as George says, it also has to be underpinned by the fact that in the law, Mason Greenwood is innocent, and Manchester United, and I think we've just got to look at it from a footballing point of view as well. This guy would get stick every single game, says NYYK. I don't know how I feel yet. Very serious allegations that have been dropped, but that doesn't mean he should wear a United shirt again. It's sad for all, says Alex. I just want to appreciate everybody's maturity and common sense in this as well. I think we're getting a lot of people who are probably like myself, just a little bit wasn't expecting it, and then there are no answers, are there? Hi Mark, I just wanted to let you know and the rest of our fan base know that recently started following each other and been in constant check, says Luca. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I don't want the team or dressing room distrusted, says Damo. We've moved on. It's not about how he feels as the players who have to work with him, says Damo. Mark, I'm 48 and this news has split me. We need the talent back, but I'm still feeling that there is much more to this story. It's hard for some people to handle, says Paul. Well, it probably won't be the end of it as well, because there won't be press embargoes or anything like that now. All sorts of stuff's going to come out. But remember, in that police, that CPS statement, they said new information came to light as well. So we should trust the letter of the law and take him back, says Charlie. Put it this way, if we don't, there will be a line a million long of clubs ready to take him. However, that's down to how the club feels, not us, says Charlie. Well, look, let me talk about this now. I wanted to say this, and I will tell you what I think for what it matters. But I personally think there's going to be two options here for Manchester United, and I think we all know what those two options are. There's going to be take him back, integrate him back into the team, and carry on as normal, right? And that can happen. He's innocent. That can happen. He's innocent by the letter of the law, so that can happen. He can come back. They can try and get him back in the team and just carry on and face whatever away fans or anybody else or home fans or anybody else does, because there will be United fans that might not be happy about this, by the way, and you've got to respect that. We're all part of the United family. There will be people out there who are uncomfortable with this. I've had a lot of messages before I went live, people I know, and they're saying, I don't want to see him in a Man United shirt. The other option is to sell him or release him and just go, look, maybe he does go and perform really well for somebody else, but we don't want this player for many different reasons. And look, for many different reasons, it might well be we have the players that we want. We don't need a player like that. To be honest, the trajectory of where he was heading, I think talent-wise, he was very, very good. But I don't know what United are going to do. I'm sure they've had a heads up on this. Maybe they haven't had a heads up like this. Maybe Man United are reacting to it the same way as us. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's not the Crown Prosecution Service and the police have done it absolutely right to announce that the case is dropped, and they need to drop it as soon as they can. How does it impact Manchester United's season? Not at all. If we don't let it, we don't. At the end of the day, we don't want anything to derail what we're doing on the pitch. Adam Orchard says we should remember dropped doesn't mean innocent. Well, yes and no. In the letter of the law, you haven't done anything wrong unless you get found guilty of it. So I know what you mean by that, but This is very similar to... No, it's not, Riley, and I'm not even going to read that out. Let's call a spade, Mark. Case was only dropped because a key witness pulled out, says Jack. And United should ask around in the dressing room to see what the squad thinks. He's only 21 and should have another chance, says Edward. And Shad, welcome to the Members Club. I'm surprised. I always think of Mason Greenwood as like 18, 19. I was surprised to see that he's 21. And look, even if he did come back, just completely focusing on football here, there is a price to pay for not playing football competitively for over a year. I mean, it was in January, wasn't it? And that's a long time. You know, the way I look at it is, if you had a really good player at Man United who was 20 years of age and they did the cruciate ligament and they were out for a year, you'd worry about the rest of their career. Now, this isn't an injury, but there's still an impact on, you know, missing a year of football. And it would take a lot of work. And I think even if United brought him back, I think they would say, forget about it this season. You need to go off, sort your head out. You know, obviously it's been a traumatic year. Go off, get yourself fit, and we'll reassess it in the summer. You know, we'll look at it in the summer. You've got 2 years left on your contract. Just when you think, well, I look, a lot of people are saying a poll. I'm going to do this poll in the sense of this. Keep or sell. I think that's probably the fairest way of doing it, isn't it? Because I think that's the decision that Manchester United have got to make. And it's not our decision to make, but it would be interesting to see what people have, you know, feel. Insert says we've got to respect the fact that he's got to rebuild his career. We still need to consider that the court of law in these situations is in favour of the man. Most allegations get thrown out. Hearing the violence was enough for me to know the kid is a wrong 'un, says McAndy. And I wonder if the recording had not been made public, would think differently. The tape record. I mean, Paul, I've got to say, I don't really want to delve into that side of things, but we all heard stuff. We all saw stuff. The way that was leaked publicly, whatever you think, really, if that, you know, it's been a, you know, it's that in any case, evidence like that should not be being put out like that anyway. But, you know, Div says he's innocent as per the law. Let's move on. Let's let him go abroad and make a career elsewhere. A move will be good for him and the club. You know what? I think that's I'm just having a look. I'm in the United Stand group chat here. I'm just having a quick look because there was something I wanted to read out. I don't think they'd mind. I mean, you've got to consider what Ten Hag thinks. It's a tough one, and I wouldn't expect anybody right here, right now, to be going this or this. What I will say is, if he ends up back in a Man United shirt scoring goals, it wouldn't surprise me. And we'd all have to accept that, whether we want to or not. On the other hand, it wouldn't surprise me if a move abroad was what happened as well. And that might, and I would consider what the player wants to do as well. Because if he wants to ride it out and stay in England, then that's up to him. Maybe he thinks, you know, I'll go and have a couple of years abroad. Maybe I'll have a loan deal or something like that, and then I'll come back. You know, I don't know. It's not our decision to make. It's Manchester United. It's Mason Greenwood. He's lost a year of his career. He might be doubly determined that, you know, he's lost enough time. He wants to play in the greatest league in the world for the best team in the world. He might. You know, we're all speculating here. Maybe he's not happy with the way United dealt with it. Maybe he's not happy with the way some of the players didn't. You know, who knows? Maybe he doesn't want to come back. You know, you're cashing checks your bank can't pay. You don't. There is this assumption that United are going to put him in a United shirt and Mason Greenwood's going to want to get back in a United shirt. You don't know. We don't know. And ultimately, you've got to respect, whether you like it or not, you've got to respect what the decisions are made by the club and the player. And I think we've had to tread very carefully for the last year because it's been an ongoing legal case. It's not an ongoing legal case now. And I think Joshua put it perfectly at the start of the video. This is not a legal case anymore. It's not going to court. It's in the court of the public. It's public opinion now. And that's probably where you don't want it to be, because we know people can believe and twist and get angry about things. And then in the public court of opinion, it's not necessarily fair, is it? So that's where it's going to reside now. And I mean, it is very difficult. Did you see about Varane's retirement from France? I did, Glennie. Well, we'll cover all that. I really want to talk about the preview. That's what I wanted to do at 2:00, but ultimately we've ended up doing this. Sponsors won't like. I mean, Miles makes a great point as well. One party that's definitely not going to like this are sponsors, and that could be the decisive factor in this. And again, Miles, you're absolutely spot on. This was obviously when this came out a year ago. Innocent till proven guilty, but a criminal investigation was ongoing, and sponsors pulled out in relation to Mason Greenwood. Will those sponsors come back in? God, I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, sponsors pulled out. So, I can't speak for sponsors. You can't speak for sponsors. We can't speak for the club either, and we can't speak for what is going to happen. But ultimately, we will see. In the poll, 71% say keep, 29% say sell. I would keep him, says Elliot. Thank you very much for that. Would Ten Hag welcome him back for footballing reasons only? I probably think so, but me personally wouldn't welcome him back, says Remy. And Joskin says, I trust that Eric Ten Hag, and with the players that are currently at the club, we can make him a better man. There we go. It's an uncomfortable situation. I think in life, you don't want to be left with uncertainty, do you? You don't want to be left in a situation where it is uncertain. So I think that we all want a bit of clarity. We all want a bit of, we all want the answer, don't we? We don't like it when we're left. It's like watching a Netflix series or a murder mystery. You don't want to be left with uncertainty and have to make a decision on that. And I think that's what's going to happen here. And it's a tough one. Some people will be very excited about this. I mean, I've seen people on Twitter for the last year saying, people were putting lies out about the case being dropped and he's going to be back in the team. That's how insensitive some people have been. So they'll be rejoicing now. Some people will be bloody fuming now. Some people might be threatening to rip up season tickets. You just don't know. But then, in 6 months' time, it might be all forgotten. And he's scoring goals for Man United again, because things do change and things do move on, and you can ride these things out and try and get back to some normality. Can I imagine a situation where we're doing a watch along and Mason Greenwood scoring a goal and we're reacting to it and we're all going yes? Not right now. Doesn't mean it won't happen. But it's another situation. I tell you what, Melps, for anybody, he's absolutely spot on here. Another situation for Ten Hag to deal with. Don't tell me Eric Ten Hag isn't doing an incredible job, because the things he's had to deal with in his first year, he's not even been here a year, in his first 7-8 months of Manchester United manager, he's had to take on the worst ever Premier League Manchester United side. He's had the Ronaldo stuff. He's had the Jadon Sancho absence for 3 months. He's had the January transfer window. He's had the Glazers trying to sell the club. And now he's had this Mason Greenwood thing as well. I mean, he is earning his wages and more, isn't he? I think even if United decide to sell him, no one will want to buy him. I feel like his public image is ruined. I don't agree with that, Clark. I don't. And also, you've got to offer. I mean, I am somebody who believes in second chances. I've said that many times before. I also believe in what's the word? How can I believe in it when I don't know? I can't remember what the word is. It's not redemption. Rehabilitation. And what is to rehabilitate here anyway, when he's not been found guilty of anything? But there is a career to rehabilitate, and maybe that, I don't know the lad. Maybe there is a person that needs rehabilitating as well. I don't know whether he's a nice lad or not a nice lad. It's not for me to say, but I do believe in all of that. And there is a way back. Of course, there is a way back, because I believe there has to be. Where that way is back, I don't know. I just hope that I just hope that whatever happens, there's no ego involved here. You know, there's no, this cannot happen no matter what, or I am definitely doing this. I think there needs to be really intelligent, mature conversations from both parties. You don't want to get dragged down into, you know, lawyers coming in straight away or demands coming in straight away. I think it needs to be sat down and, you know, ultimately, if one party says we really want you to be playing for Manchester United, scoring goals for Manchester United, then maybe there's a journey to be gone through to get there. He's got 2 years left on his contract. He's 21. He's 22 this year. We've got the option of another year on his contract. You know, would it be the worst idea in the world to go, right, go on loan for a year? Go on loan for a year. Wherever that is, France, Italy, wherever. You go on loan and you're banging goals in, and time moves away from this, there is a path back. And maybe that, you know, off the top of my head, maybe that's it. But maybe it'll be more immediate than that. Maybe it'll be get back on the training ground tomorrow. I don't know. I think his player profile has always been on the website, Rosh. We need to ask the women's team at Manchester United if we're going with the public opinion, says Akil. MG11 says Yash, and drops charges doesn't mean proven innocent. We saw the evidence. The last thing United need is this when they're doing so well, says Kian. And we've seen this before in other sports. Clearly something happened. Public apology, admit flaws, get therapy and a slow reintroduction, says John Stewart. Yeah, and also, as we know, football's very... I mean, we embrace it when it's just to do with football, but football is very tribal, isn't it? And, you know, we saw it with the Arsenal player, which has never, who I don't think has ever publicly been named. I think there's an Arsenal player going through this at the moment, and there was a lot of stuff going on around that at the start of the season. And, you know, it's almost like tribalism kicks in, and because it's an Arsenal player or a Liverpool player or a Spurs player or whatever, you go... It makes you dislike them even more because they're a rival, and obviously that will come into play as well. If Mason Greenwood's back playing for Man United, there'll be people that are angered like that, and they'll be more angry if he's a Man United player and you don't like Man United. So this is what I mean about court. This was going through the court of law, and it's not anymore, and now it's going to go into the court of public opinion, and the court of public opinion can be not a very nice place, and all these things will have to be considerations. I, for one, am quite intrigued as to what's going to happen next. As I said, off the top of my head, I've been chatting to you for about half an hour now. Off the top of my head, if there's to be a way back, I personally think a loan deal for a 6 months or a year might be the best thing to do. Because I think everybody needs a bit of breathing space. And the worst thing you can do with something like this is just brush it under the carpet, pretend it never happened, and let's get back to work. There are relationships to heal, and time is normally a very good way of doing that. So that's probably what I would do. I wouldn't be in massive agreement of saying get yourself back to training on Monday morning. You can be a valuable player for us this season. I think that might be a little bit too soon. What do I think will happen? How long's a piece of string? I just don't know. I don't know what the... I mean, look, media as well. Look, we're a fan community. What does broadcast media think? What do Man United journalists think? I mean, that's a factor. What do people within the United think? And also remember, United are up for sale. What the current CEO and the Glazers think might be very different to what the buyers of the club think. The buyers of the club might not care. The buyers of the club might be appalled by it. So there's lots of things to factor, and I think that's why time is important. And I just hope that whatever happens, that it's dealt with in a mature way, because there might be an impatience from either side on this to do something quickly. Some of these footballers need help. It is evident, says Sakin, and people won't like this, but why, when it comes to us, we must be scrutinised for everything United does, but other teams get away with it the whole time, says Mario. I'm waiting for the Glazers to now say we no longer need a striker in the summer, says Mao. Well, look, you know what? It's been impossible over the last year to talk about it in a footballing way because it would be so insensitive when there's a criminal case going on. But there is no criminal case going on now. So you're in the, as I say, you're in the court of public opinion. if Mason Greenwood came back to Manchester United and started playing the way he did before, you've got Mason Greenwood, Anthony, Sancho, Rashford, Martial. Have I missed somebody else out? Garnacho. I mean, why would you be trying to buy Osman or Harry Kane at the end of the day? So, I mean, we can have those little topics now because there is no criminal investigation. But when you've got Anthony, Greenwood, Sancho, Rashford, Martial, Garnacho, that's 6 for 3 positions. Why would you be going to buy a striker? So, and I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that if Greenwood came back and he was the player he was before, you know, it changes a lot of things, doesn't it? If you were to come back, I think hypothetically there would be an individual training program for 4 months or something. Yeah, he ain't coming back this season anyway. You know, forget about that. That's not going to happen. He's not played for a year. I mean, look at Jadon Sancho. I mean, he's taken. I think he took some time out, and then it's taken him a month of an individual program or 6 weeks before he even started training with the team again. If you're Erik ten Hag, even if you want the player back, you're going to have to send him off to maybe the Netherlands again for a month, and then that's just before the international break, isn't it? And then are you going to bring him back in with, you know, what could be a really important 6 weeks to the end of the season? I don't know. Stephen says, if Mason wants to play, why not have him undergo a process similar to what Sancho underwent? Yeah. Again, as I say, I think time's going to be the healer here, one way or another. And look, Manchester United handled the Sancho situation really, really well. Ten Hag, the club, the fans, Sancho. Completely different situation. Do not compare Sancho to Greenwood in any way. But what I'm saying is, it might be a little bit of a guide in these discussions if they decide to rehabilitate and, you know, try and get things back how they were. That might be a path to go down, because next season's a new season, isn't it? Vignesh says, I'm a firm believer until an innocent till proven guilty otherwise, but as Man United and the values we stand for, it would be completely wrong if he pulls a United shirt on again. Thank you, Vignesh. And the comments from the CPS spokesman also mentioned something about new material that aided to drop the case. As Advocate, yeah, we spoke about that. And fewer than 1 in 60 cases lead to charges in England. Drop charges is not a surprise. We've heard what happened. I don't want him in the club, says Merrick. Yeah, interesting opinions, of course. And I'm sure as a community, we do respect them all. Giuseppe says he'd like to see him sold. You know, I don't have a problem with these comments as long as they're respectful, because at the end of the day, it's an opinion, and we are in the public court of opinion now. This is, and ultimately, I think, you know, Mason and his team will respect that as well. This is what happens. You know, there's many people who are not footballers who have been, you know, been to court, not been to court, been charged, gets dropped, and then people are like, wow, innocent till proven guilty, let them carry on with their lives. And other people are like, oh yeah, there's no smoke without fire. You know, that's, you're in the public court of opinion now. I don't like that. I'm sure you don't like that, but people will make their mind up either way. It becomes a bit of a soap opera, doesn't it? You know, it's like watching EastEnders. I don't like him, I do like him. You know, it's we can't dictate that. We can't control that. And that's something that Manchester United will need to bear in mind. And there's so many interesting things that have been said, you know, sponsors, media, players in the dressing room, Ten Hag, fans. That's just for Man United. That's just Manchester United. You know, externally, non-football journalists, non-football media, rival fans. You know, there's so many layers to this. But where it's going to end up, I'm not going to give definitive answers, because nobody can. And I would never, even if I felt like it, sit here in front of you lot and say, he can never play for Man United again, or get him back in a Man United shirt now, we desperately need him. That would be wrong, because it would be disrespectful to what community is. A community is about what, you know, different voices, different opinions. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really know what the answer is. My stance is, I don't sit on the fence, but my stance is quite firmly, I'm going to need time to think about this. Because he might put a United shirt on again at some point, and I might agree with it, or I might not. I'm going to need time to think it through. I'm not going to rush to a decision. And I think that ultimately there's a duty of care there from Manchester United for a player that's under their contract as well, and they've got to act responsibly as well. What if Mason said what you said to your daughter, then you see him back playing at United like nothing happened? Drop case doesn't change anything, says playing, and we have no idea what the morals of our players are. Think back to Giggsy, Rooney, Ronaldo, and who knows who else. Let's get off our pedestals, it says MOT. Well, I've said that. Ultimately, I think if you are a football fan, no matter what the age, because I don't want to be ageist, if you are a football fan that idolises footballers and thinks they're nice people, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, you don't have to go out for a pint with these people or go down the cinema with them. As I say, I know people that I idolised as kids, legends of this club, who I've met in real life and been quite disappointed. I wouldn't go down the pub with them. I don't think, I don't, read between the lines there. Doesn't mean I don't think they're a legend anymore. There's players that have played for United I've never met who are my idols. And I almost don't want to meet them because they might be the nicest guy in the world, but they might be a complete dickhead. But it won't. That's why they say sometimes don't meet your idols, because it can be disappointing. We've created this thing around the Premier League especially, where we've turned players into brands, when really they should just be valued and assessed on what they do in a football pitch. Because just because you can go past 3 or 4 players and score a hat-trick against Liverpool doesn't mean you're a nice person with a great personality. You could be a complete dickhead. And I think we need to be, not just in this case, but in general, when idolising players, I think people automatically think, oh, what a great guy they are as well. And that might not be the case. And it's certainly not been the case for some people who are legends of this club who used to play for our club 10, 20, 30 years ago. Some of them are really nice. Some of them are a bit of a dickhead. And that's just the way it is. And you know what as well? I'll tell you something. There'll be footballers playing at the highest level around Europe who've done things that are not great. And we'll never find out about it. So let's not pretend that in the case of Mason Greenwood, he's the only player in United's history, let alone football's history, to be accused of doing something that people find repulsive. So, I do agree with what somebody said there. Let's not get on pedestals and try and say that Mason Greenwood, whether he's innocent or, whatever, is a bad person, because I don't think that's very fair. Because what happened is he got arrested and it was arrested for something that went out very publicly that probably shouldn't have gone out publicly. I'm a licensed football coach, have done a quick video showing why Anthony's spin move is a very functional move that is crucial to how United play, says MPB. Nice, thanks, pal. Bring him back, says Sean. He isn't guilty. Why should he be able to play? There's current players who are playing now who have done the same. I'm not condoning it, but it can't be one rule and one from the other. Sean, I don't have an issue with what you've just said. But it's in the public court of opinion now. There are sponsors, there are fans, there is outrage, there'll be people wanting him back like you. These are things United need to come back. United can't just say he's back in the playing squad tomorrow. They've got to tread carefully, because Man United is a very diverse club. Manchester United is a very community club. You can't please some and then isolate and anger the other. They've got to tread very carefully. And that's why I think that time and patience is going to be key here. I can't talk about some of the comments that are going on. Daniel says we want everyone to be Mata or Rashford, but it's not like that in life, says Daniel. And Jack says innocent until proven guilty is dated, in my opinion. We all know right from wrong, no matter the talent. We all saw what we saw and heard what we heard. Not that difficult for me, but that's opinion. And dealt with this uncomfortable topic with pure class. Well done, Mark, says Doc. Well, it's not the first time, unfortunately, we keep having to do this, especially with this particular incident. We reacted to it. I was actually away I think I was in Stratford on the Sunday morning, and I did a quick video about it because obviously from previous life, when I used to work in this sort of thing, I know how these things work. I know what's happened here as well. They've charged him. They want it to go to court, and then 2 months later, they clearly haven't got the evidence to do it anymore. And they've done the right thing by dropping it. You can't criticise the police or the criminal prosecution service, Crown prosecution service. They've clearly done their job properly. and have hit a point where they just don't have the evidence anymore to do anything about it. So I can see Mason playing in Turkey since they really don't care. It's a bit of a weird one. Aban says I would use him, I wouldn't sell him. Well, as I said, I'm not going to keep going on about this because it is a sensitive topic and we've done 45 minutes on it, and I had hoped to be doing 45 minutes on a preview, which I'll now do at 8 o'clock. I mean, look, there is a football club here that's doing really, really well with players and a manager who are doing great for us, and I want to focus on that. But obviously it would be completely idiotic of me not to react to something like this when it impacts us all. We are United fans. It's not something we can just go, oh, let's ignore it. And as I say, it now resides in the court of public opinion. So it's not like we won't be talking about this in the future because it's not a criminal case anymore. It's been dropped. There was a criminal case. There isn't one now. And whether we like it or not, this opinion now resides publicly and everyone will have an opinion. So we will talk about it more in the future. There will be more developments. He may put a United shirt on again. He may not put a United shirt on again. And we can talk about it as long as we are sensitive and respectful to the fact that people will have different opinions. It's just the way it is. But I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for all your opinions. I hope it's been useful. I think when these things happen and you're just thinking, what next, why, this, that, and the other, I think we've worked our way through it really well. And we ultimately know now that there are two paths here. There is a path with Mason Greenwood back in a United shirt, and there is a path with Mason Greenwood not in a United shirt. And I think that path will not be trodden quickly. We will have to just wait and see what happens. Somebody just said that. We've had a reaction here. Somebody said Gary Neville had reacted, but I don't think he has tweeted anything. But look, so what if he does? So what if he does? It's in the court of public opinion now, and everybody will have their say. Jordan, this new material is important. I wonder if there's any, or it's been used as reasonable doubt, says Jordan. Well, the new material thing is part of it, but I think the big key was that they didn't have any witness anymore. And I think we all know who the witness would be in a case like this. So they didn't have that witness, which makes it very, very difficult as well. Make him, that we all deserve a second chance, says Lecky. Well, look, I'm going to say thank you to all of you. Thanks for tuning in. I hope it shed some light. We're all going to have different opinions, of course. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way. We are back at 8 o'clock at this. Neville's liked tweets. Let me have a quick look. I never think to look at likes. Oh, so he's liked a tweet saying that the case has been dropped by Sky News. Look, would I like a tweet about this? I think it's a sensitive topic at the moment. I probably wouldn't, but Gary's very forthright in his opinions, and, you know, liking it is up to him. As I said, try and be very careful, because some people are going to have very strong views one way or the other, or some people like me will just be like, I'm just going to take my time on this and think about it. But it will antagonise some people. It will really make people want to go and sing and be happy in the street. That's what happens when things are in the court of public opinion. That's what it's going to be. So, yeah. Oh, no, he has liked something here as well. You are innocent till proven guilty. We don't have trial by media. We don't have evidence that any witnesses were lying. We don't do victim or complainant blaming. Prosecutors have to be sure there is a realistic prospect of conviction by jury on the evidence they have. They don't. So Gary is very much pro innocent till proven guilty by the looks of it, which is a good thing. And maybe he wants him back in the United team. I don't know. Maybe he knows the lads. I don't know. Respect it. Everyone's going to have different opinions. I'm sure there'll be people who like that, and I'm sure there'll be people giving him shit for it, because it's now in the court of public opinion, isn't it? Look, thanks everyone for watching. We're back at 8 o'clock with the preview for the Crystal Palace game, which I wish I had been doing for the last hour, but obviously we're stuck on this. Will I be on Twitch? I do want to do Twitch. I do want to play FIFA career mode, but I just sense that all it will be is people chatting about Mason Greenwood. So I might just go and have a cup of tea for 20 minutes and just let it sort of die down a little bit. But thanks everyone for getting involved. You know, it's a very interesting topic, isn't it? And I'm glad that we have such a, you know, in the main, educated and interested community, and I'm glad that people are respecting both people, because there are, you know, there are going to be differing opinions here. Thanks everyone. Speak to you all in a bit. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.